Yo, yo, yo. It's crime time. Check your rolling and pop a 40. It's our yard podcast, and we're coming live for you, babies.
Play with that things.
All right, y'all. What's happening? This is our second episode of the day because, we're straight ballers out here.
That and SmackDown sucked, so we needed something to talk about.
That's right. So, here's our second episode of the day. It's gonna be a little. I mean, we kind of went over sports, football, the last little bit, but we'll kind of balance. We'll kind of go on that since right now we have two live games. We have North Alabama and Southeastern Missouri, 15-7 in North Alabama's favor at the moment, with 4 minutes left in the second, and then SMU and Nevada just kicked off a little bit ago. So that's an interception, brother. We got.
Hell yeah!
Stop that. Oh my God! How do you drop that interception? That's why you play cornerback. Jesus hell!
That's why you're on defense.
God damn! You got soft hands, brother. Soft hands. Yeah. So a minute and a half in, we're already fucking live. I don't know what's happening, but yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit. Talk some football and ball is life. Talk some music. We're gonna talk our 10 favorite guitarists. Trevor's list probably more thought out than mine. I kind of did all my shit on the fly yesterday, and my 1 and 2 were consistent for sure. The rest of it just it's kind of hard, man. Like, it's really hard for me to pick 10 guitar players. So, I might have picked somebody and I'll have a lot of honorable mentions, I promise you. But I went with 10 people in that moment that I was feeling. I was like, shit, this is it. Like, gotta have it. So, whatever. I'm just, I just live in the moment with my list pretty much. So, with that being said, I'm going to start off, number 10. I'm going to go, he's well-traveled, man. He's one of my friends I've met through the years in Nashville, through some mutual friend, Tyler Eden. I met a bunch of great people from Nashville, or that live in Nashville. They might be from other places. Like, this guy's from South Carolina. It's the fucking Riff Lord, Zan fucking Green. He's in a band called Moru based out of Nashville. Him and a couple other buddies like Tucker Pemberton on vocals, Jake Moraine on bass, and Brandon Compton on. He is the drummer. He is a fucking hellacious drummer, by the way. But this band, I have been a big fan. Like, they put out an EP in 2017, and I was just like, I bought the fucking cassette from them. Like, I bought merch. I bought all this shit. I was like, dude, this shit's rocking. They started off more of a metalcore, hardcore. Well, hardcore. Yeah, something like metal, really more hardcore, I guess you would say. But dude, they are fucking great. And like Tucker's the second singer. He came in on their second EP, Premortal Urge. I think is how you say it. I don't know. I've listened to it a fucking enough. You think I know it, but anyways, like, they can laugh at me for fucking that up. But dude, like, Zan Green, like, they call him the Riff Lord, and there's a fucking reason for that. That dude is fucking insane. Like, mind blowing. The big PP riffs that dude puts out. I mean, that shit is slamming hard. Like, dude, you just go listen to, like, if y'all are into, like, hardcore, like, And the newest, like they put out their debut LP, and it's like it's changed. Like if you go listen to Premortal Urge, it's more hardcore, metalcore, like that type of stuff, melodic hardcore, I guess if you want to get technical or something. But it's like it's more of that. Like it's a little bit easier for most people. It's probably a little more easier to digest, I guess, considering like their LP that they just put out in June. Man, it's like it is a fucking ass beater. Like it's death metal. I mean, pretty much it's death metal. Like, and it is fucking insane. Like, I know we're not doing bands, but like I had to shout them out because they are fucking great. And like, I love all those dudes. Like Zan is just like I'm telling you, like his guitar work is out of this world. Like, go listen to Moru and like listen to his guitar playing, and you will understand. Like, I'm not being biased on my friends. I swear to God, this is one of the most electric guitar players you ever hear in your life. Like, it really does. Like, it sticks with you. Listen to it, even if you're not a big fan of death metal or hardcore shit. Like, put that out of your mind. Listen to the guitar parts. It's like, what the fuck is this dude doing? Like, in the riffs, just get you. I promise. Like, so that's my number 10 is Zan Green from Moru, and yeah, we'll go right there.
Old Zan Green. Shout out, Sam. We're talking about for something a little bit different than that. I don't know any of these guitarists on my list, and it'd be cool if I did, but I don't. Um, Number 10, some of y'all may view this as kind of a cop out answer. I don't care because I love the band. We're talking about Brian May from Queen. And this dude has like an elegance on the guitar that a lot of people don't have. Like, where some people may view him as like not a technician, where you're absolutely wrong on that. He is very, very clean and sure-handed with the way he plays. One of my favorite um, times of that happening would be on a song like Killer Queen. Um, Obviously, Bohemian Rhapsody, as big of a song as that is, I mean, it's still very iconic guitar throughout the song itself. My favorite guitar work of his is probably Stone Cold Crazy, for something a little bit different from the norm as far as what they do. But just throughout, like everything they ever did, I do feel like it was always good, and I really appreciate Brian May and what he did to elevate Queen, um, more than more than just Freddie Mercury doing it by himself. Of course, Freddie Mercury is one of the best singers of all time, and that's not even subjective. That's an objective statement. That's just the truth. He's fucking Freddie Mercury. But this isn't about singers. Going into number 9 for Ye Old Hogmaster.
You want my number 9?
Oh, yeah.
I don't
Number
know.
15.
Okay. It's Garth Brooks. No. Alright, so number 9. So I have some people that I could have wrapped in like as the same. Like what I did on my number 9 pick is like it's two guitars that played with each other, just had awesome chemistry and all that. Like, and a few of my other picks in here, they played with other people, and I could have just done that, but I decided against it. I decided to just go with, like, I had to group them together. These two guys, it's from my probably my favorite band that yeah, that's probably my favorite band out of the '80s. I would say. Yeah, yeah. Tommy Skiotch and Frank Hannon from Tesla, the dual guitar dude. Like, Frank Hannon does get a lot of love, which he fucking deserves. Dude is a monster. But Tommy Skiotch, to me, dude, he fucking shreds. Like, he just doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Honestly, like Frank Hannon, dude, like without like I said, he gets more love, I guess, than like like my favorite album is A Great Radio Controversy. Um, the second album of theirs, like Frank Hannon, like did it for the money. That solo, holy shit! Like it's not a long, so it's short. Like it's sweet to the point. Dude, it is phenomenal. Yesterday's Gone. Oh my god! Like I remember hearing that the first time, like just like holy shit! Like I'm in trance. Like I was just in a trance, listening to listen to his playing and his lead on that, and like Tommy Skiotch. What blew me like was Making Magic and Flight to Nowhere. Those two songs, like come to like I just thought Frank Hannon did all the shit because that's all I heard when I was younger, and then I looked into it and it was actually Tommy Skiotch, and he actually did Paradise, or I believe he did Paradise and Parties, and then Parties Over. They like did a back and forth. They're like, oh my god, they're so fucking good. Like, and I don't know, I just didn't want to split them up. Just like it was hard for me to like pick which one was better. Like they were so gosh damn good, like individually, and then together they were just. I mean, they just had it, man. Like they had a wonderful chemistry with the guitar playing. Like, and we could probably do a damn list on guitar, like dual guitars, players like bands, pick that. But and I'll put them on my list. I don't care on that list too. But just for this, like I just put both of them. I couldn't separate. Like they are awesome, man. Like Tommy Skiotch, Frank Hannon from Tesla. Like listen to, like the really. I mean, hell, the albums because Tommy left in '06, which I really just know. I listened to like Mechanical Resonance, the first album. Great Radio Controversy was great. That's my favorite album of theirs. Psychotic Supper. They had an album Bust the Nut in '94. It was good. Like just go in there and listen to the guitar playing, man. Like it's great. Like just good hard rock. Dudes were fucking shredding everywhere. So that's my number 9 is Tommy Skiotch and Frank Hannon from Tesla, and Trevor can give you his.
Ain't nothing wrong with that at all. Speaking of guitar, we may wind up having to do an episode. I'm gonna have to agree with you on fame on our top 10 guitar dueling guitar as far as bands go, guitar duos and whatnot like that. Um, and to keep that same trend going, I wound up changing this one last minute just because it was undeniable, at least for me. Number 9 is the guitar duo of Gary Rosington and Alan Collins from Leonard Skinner, the original run. And I know probably on a technical level, the Allman Brothers band, like those musicians on a technical level, are probably better than the guys in Skinner, but I don't give a damn because Rosington Collins is one of the best guitar duos of all time. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. You can pick anything from those first 3 albums. And whether you like the song or not, the guitar playing on it is absolutely undeniable. Rosington himself is probably my personal favorite between the two, but no shade on Alan Collins. You look at their first album, pronounced Leonard Skinnard, and you'll immediately see, like, just with songs like, Poison Whiskey, which is my personal favorite, Things Going On, songs like that, you'll definitely get to see that twangy lead style that became not only, a staple of Leonard Skinner, but Southern rock as a whole. And I think bands like Skinner and the Allman Brothers definitely set that precedent. My personal favorite song by them is probably "I Need You" from their second album, Second Helpin'.
Best Skinner
You
song
talk
ever.
about you talk about some badass guitar. There ain't like I don't care about the memes. I don't care. It's like, oh, you fuck your sister, like all that with Leonard Skinner. I don't care. They are that good. I highly recommend it. And one of the reasons they were that successful and they are that accessible is the fact that Gary Rosington and Alan Collins were absolute monsters on guitar. I could go on all day about them alone, but to make sure this video ain't going to be about 5 hours long, we're going to go to number 8 on Harley's side.
Number 8.
Teach them a little bit of country guitar.
Oh yeah, number 8. I'm going my favorite band. From Counterparts, it's Blake Hardman. He's not in the band anymore, but he's been in Counterparts. He's been in 100th. You know, like if you know metalcore, melodic hardcore stuff, you'll know who 100th is, and Counterpart. Like I've talked about them a lot. Yeah, dude. Like Blake Hardman was on. He was on probably. I mean, my 2 favorite albums. Like he was on "You're Not You Anymore," which is my favorite album of all time, and he was on the Private Room EP and Nothing Left to Love. And I know he started writing for the last one, and then the original guitar player came back, Jesse Doreen. But dude, Blake Hardman, like, he is just, gosh damn, he's so fucking good, dude. Like, just, not even including the 100 shit, like, just the Counterparts alone. Like, listen to "You're Not You Anymore" album, and like, you listen to like I've said about Counterparts, it's the lyrics that just get to you and all that. But the guitar playing on that album between him and Adrian Lee, the rhythm player, like, oh God, it was so good, man. Like, Blake Hardman is a motherfucker. Like, his lead playing is so precise, and he has a feel, like, he just has this feel to him. It's like, it just gets you. Like, it locked you in, man. Like, and nothing Left to Love album, like, that's probably my second favorite Counterparts album. It's so good. And like his playing on there, man, it's just, you could go listen to the ass beaters like Thieves and You're on Knife, and you're like, what the fuck? His damn harmonics on there. I mean, listen to the leads all over it, like Memory Misread, Wings of Nightmares, Hands That Used to Hold Me, Cherished, Imprints. I mean, You're Not You Anymore, the title track, Arms Like Teeth, No Servant of Mine, Swim Beneath My Fucking Skin, brother. I mean, just any of that shit. Monument. I mean, you could listen to just all those, like those 2 albums, that EP of what he had, of what he did when he was in the band, and you'll be like, oh shit, like, yeah, that dude's legit. Like, man, he's just always been one of my favorite. Like, ever since I started listening to him heavily, that was like in 2017, he was in the band, and that was just the dude. I was drawn to him. So that's my number 8 is Blake Hardman from Counterparts and 100th. And I should have looked it up. He has another band that he's in. Like, he started a band like 2 years ago. I wish I could shout him out for. I can't even remember the name of the band at this exact moment. It's been a little bit since I've listened to him, but anyways, yeah, like Blake Hardman, check him out if you're interested in that kind of music, melodic hardcore and stuff.
That's the devil's me.
Probably. Fuck him.
No, with number 8, any of the older generations probably gonna get real mad. But this is my list, not yours. Keep that in mind, and I apologize, but I view both of these guys on the same level. I view them both as 2 of the best guitarists to ever pick up a guitar. But since then, I've found guitarists that just appeal to me a lot more. And it's not to discredit anything that these 2 did, but at the same time, when I hear one, I can't help but think of the other because of how similar their styles are. And I'm talking about Jimi Hendrix and Stevie Ray Vaughan. I don't really think one of them has the edge on the other because Jimmy pretty much, like, Everything Jimmy did, Stevie did, and it really just boils down to preference between who you like more at the end of the day, because they're both very similar. Stevie's a lot more bluesy. Jimmy could get bluesy. Jimmy could rock a lot better than Stevie, but Stevie could also rock. So really, it's just very similar songs. Not to mention, arguably the best cover. Well, in my opinion, the second best cover of Lil Wayne is by Stevie, and we'll get into who did in my opinion, the best cover of Lil Wayne here in just a few minutes. But just to break both of them down as a guitarist, if you really want to look at some of Stevie's finest work, I don't really care how overplayed this song is in particular, but Texas Flood, it's just fantastic, fantastic chops on the guitar all the way throughout. And as far as Jimmy's best work, in my opinion, I'm a real big fan of Castles Made of Sand. And that might not be the most popular, or Crosstown Traffic. Really, I like Jimi Hendrix quite a bit, but I grew up listening to him a lot to the point where I kind of burnt myself out on him, so I don't listen to him quite as much anymore. But to me, the best song he ever did on guitar is still Little Wing, like by far. I remember trying to take upon the task of trying to learn that shit myself, and it did not go well. It took me a month to be able to play the intro at half speed. And I'm not saying I'm an amazing guitarist or anything like that, but it just goes to show you. He was doing that with a guitar strung upside down. And then it was like, well, it was really just a guitar strung the right way. You just played it just straight upside down. And that's impressive in of itself. But you learn to adapt, and then you can do anything you put your mind to. But to keep it short, I really recommend that second Jimi Hendrix album. I believe it's Axis Bold as Love. And Stevie Ray Vaughan's debut album is just one of the best albums of blues guitar you will ever hear. So those are the two albums I recommend from both of them. We are going into number 7 with.
People can say what they want about this band, but like the band he was in, or his main band, but even if you don't like, really, if you don't like it, you just trying to not to be a mainstream fuck. You're just like, oh, I gotta be different. I can't listen to that shit. The singer is, he's a meanie face. All that shit. But it's motherfucking Wes Borland from Limp Bizkit. Like, fuck you, dude. Like, that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Wes Borland influenced a fucking generation of guitar players. Like, he is just. Truthfully, like, dude, you really could say that Wes, you could say he changed the way people play guitar from when he started, because it was like when Limp Bizkit got big, because nobody was doing it like that, man. Truthfully, and I know people were doing some different stuff, and maybe in the industrial scene, whatever, all that shit. Maybe they were doing some weird shit with the guitar, but there's just something about Wes when he got in, the fucking riffs that dude just puts out. It's like, holy shit, dude. Even on Trevor's favorite album, Golden Cobra,
Don't
you can
ever
shit
say
on
that
that.
again.
You can talk about them. You can bitch about songs, whatever you want to, which I like it, but I'm a huge Limp Bizkit fan. But some people don't like that album, but the riffs on that, the guitar playing, you can't deny that it's just fucking jamming. And it's it catches you, even if you don't care that much about it, you're just like, shit, this is vibing, brother. But that's just how Wes Borland was. Dude could just start playing, just get you in there, man. He could put you, in, where you needed to be, playing the guitar. Dude was insane. Or is insane. He's still doing this shit now. Even that last Limp Bizkit album was the surprise album they dropped on Halloween of 21. Like, what a fucking album, man! Like, it was good. Like, the guitar playing is always just fucking tight. Like, he's just,
When that Limp
I
Bizkit
don't know.
cuts,
Yeah,
I
Limp
actually liked
Bizkit.
that album. It wasn't that bad. It was kind of up and down throughout. It wasn't as good as like their first three albums, but at least in my opinion. But
Yeah, but I mean, it was a really good album.
yeah, it's like a throwback to their earlier stuff. I liked it quite a bit.
I don't know. Just Wes is all. He'll always be one of my favorite guitar players. Like, I don't know. He just changed the game for me. Like, I can listen to him nonstop. Like, that's just why I am. That's my number seven, my seventh favorite guitar player is Wes Borland from Limp Bizkit, and I don't really have to plug them. Most people, if you listen to us, like, one, you're not surprised. Two, you already know who Limp Bizkit is. So there's that.
Oh yeah,
And
but
go to number seven
this
for Swaggy T.
yeah this number seven is much I hate to admit it. This is a bit of a safe pick, but I mean everything I've ever heard from the dude has been stellar, just absolutely stellar. I'm talking about the late Jeff Beck that passed away January of 2023, at
Mm.
the age of 78. Imagine, like, even if you don't like the music of a band like the Yardbirds, you have to imagine, look at the string of guitarists they had in a row. Like, to go from, like, Clapton to Beck to Page, and then it pretty much turned it into Led Zeppelin, is honestly insane as a band history. But what's even crazier to think about is Jeff Beck was far and away the most talented guitarist of the three, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Like, I mean, and it's no disrespect to, well, maybe a little disrespect to Jimmy Page, but he's a little sloppy. Like, if there's a good sloppiness, and then there's just like, okay, I don't care, and then you like look at their live videos, and it's like, oh Jesus.
I mean,
Um,
it's not as bad as Joe Perry from Aerosmith, but it's
whew, good lord, yeah, we're gonna make a top 10 worst guitarist.
he's
Really
gonna be
set
on
some
there.
people off.
Which
Um,
yeah.
no, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, like, thinking of that, like, I didn't even think of him. But an honorable mention is fucking Brad Hamilton from Aerosmith. What a fucking stud, man! Like, he care it. Like, if you look at that '70s shit, like, he did most of the fucking he did most of the leads, and people are like, "Oh, Joe Perry is so awesome." He changed it. No, motherfucker, it was Brad Hamilton playing all those fucking leads. Like, literally, if you go back and look, he played like 83% of the goddamn leads and the guitars on the albums. Joe Perry is so fucked up he couldn't even play on the album. So, like, there you go. Brad Hamilton's a fucking goat.
Hell
Oh
yeah,
my, he's one. He's definitely
honest,
a phenomenal player. But anyways, that's just honorable mention. I just forgot
yeah,
about him
honorable
now.
mention. No, we'll sprinkle honorable mentions throughout and give a bunch at the end as well.
Oh yeah.
But no, going back into Jeff Beck. Speaking of my favorite cover of Little Wing ever, he hits it like Stevie does. Has his own style on it. Jeff Beck definitely has his own style on it. It's almost like jazzy, but he's hitting it note for note, and then he extends it for another 5 or 6 minutes the same way Stevie does. But he has his own kind of take on it. And if you've ever heard any kind of like the solo guitarist, kind of like a he was like one of those first kind of like he could just do whatever he wanted kind of guitarists. Like in that age of the late '60s and early '70s, of course, you had virtuosos going back to like Chet Atkins and Les Paul and all that, but we ain't talking about that. This fucking Jeff Beck, brother. And he was obviously a phenomenal blues rock player. He played a lot of jazz fusion, prog rock, stuff like that. Could do metal, could do country. He could do whatever he wanted to. But I would say one of the best examples of him just as an overall guitarist is that Little Wing cover. And if you haven't heard it, you absolutely need to. And just all the people he's played with throughout the years. Of course, he was in a Beck Bulgarian a piece. Um, had the bassist and drummer. I probably mispronounced their names. I apologize, but it's the bassist and drummer from Vanilla Fudge and Cactus.
Hmm.
From
Yeah,
and
Carmine
then
Peace.
Carmine Apiece and Tim Boguer. Is it Boguer or Bogert?
Oh, I couldn't tell. I think it's actually Bogart. I think
All
I could
right.
be wrong. It'd be something to ask Brett.
Well, either way, they were both phenomenal musicians, and to be in a band with Jeff Beck. If you haven't heard their stuff, you really need to. But we're gonna be going into number 6 real quick with old Hogmaster Vanilla Fudge, as they called him.
Mm. All right, number 6. My second favorite band, Alice in Chains. It's Mr. Jerry Cantrell. Not much to say. I mean, I've already, you know, I've glazed on Alice in Chains a lot on our podcast recently, talking about music. I mean, bro, it's Jerry Cantrell. Like, what?
Hmm.
I don't know what you want me like, dude. Just like,
Correct.
like the shit that he was doing, like, just man, like it's heavy and melodic and just dude was just perfect. Everything he did on the guitars on those albums was just right on the money. Like acoustic, electric didn't matter. Like dude was just hitting, like he was getting a bigger sound than what he should have been from what he was playing. Like dude was just like Jerry Cantrell's just one of the best to ever do it. You know, like man, I love that dude. he just he's always like I've said like Alice in Chains was the first band I remember hearing. I remember watching the Alice in Chains music bank video collection. My dad brought it home in 2001. I was 5. I remember actually, hell, I might have been shit. I was 4. It was before I turned 5, so I was listening to Alice in Chains, and like hell, Lane Staley was still alive. Like it was right before he died, actually. And we was listening to it at the beginning of '01. I was like, oh my god, like this shit just changed my life. I was like, they turned on that music video and it's like the first song I heard was We Die Young. And I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? Like the riff just got me, the solo, everything. And I was like, okay, this is the music I want to listen to. And then it was like seeing him, and then I saw him playing. I was like, holy shit! Like, and then I was playing air guitar with my dad in the living room, and I was like, holy hell! And then like it got to Sea of Sorrow, which is my favorite song of theirs, and I was just like, when it cut to the solo, I was blown away. I was like, how the fuck does this happen? Like, this dude's doing something like my 4-year-old mind couldn't comprehend. I was like, this is insane right now. So, yeah, Jerry Cantrell, I mean, not much to say. Like, just fucking great. One of the best to ever do it. I mean, go listen to Facelift, Dirt, Grind, or not Grind, well, I mean, you can listen to that song, but the self-titled Three-Legged Dog album, Sap, Jar of Flies, Rainier Fog, Black Gives Away to Blue, you know, Devil Put Dinosaurs Here, like any of the, like, just listen to any fucking Alice in Chains, and like, that's your damn, you're like, okay, like, there it is, Dude, like, Jerry Cantrell's just a fucking stud. And he's a great backup, like, he's a great singer, too, because he sang a lot on Alice in Chains. But that's my number 6, and I'll let old Trevor take it away.
Oh
For
yeah,
anything
sure.
else that,
Well, I think he's a little bit better than him personally, but number 6 we got Marty Friedman, who is best known for his tenure with Megadeth, and If you haven't heard any of the Megadeth albums with Marty Friedman, you are definitely missing out. He was there from the 1990 Rust in Peace, which is my personal favorite, and to 92 Countdown to Extinction, which is Harley's favorite album, into Euthanasia, Hidden Treasures, Cryptic Writings, and Risk, which those last two we don't talk about that much. But Rust in Peace and Countdown to Extinction, and as well as some Euthanasia. I mean, those are some damn good albums. You look at I mean, a lot of people basically, like, anytime someone asks, like, what's the best thrash metal solo of all time, a lot of people say, Tornado of Souls or something off the Rust in Peace album. But really, you could look through any of that stretch of their early 90s to late 90s work. That's definitely the best back and forth guitar that they had. That was the best. I think that's by far the best guitarist Dave Mustaine ever paired with in Megadeth or any band for that matter. But regardless, everything he did, and especially the solos on, I mean, Hangar 18 was like MTV's like they had like the solo from Hangar 18 as like a theme song for something on MTV there for a good 15 to 20 years. I forget what the show is. Harley, you may know what I'm talking about, but that just goes to show, like, even beyond his own like skill, like, it's just revolutionary to the point where it's just like they're putting it on TV for stretches of decades for you to hear that every time.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I remember as far as like the MTV stuff. I just remember, you know, um, P sales, but who's buying like that being on there. I remember that being like the MTV actual theme song, but
it may have been VH1.
it could have
I
been.
may
I know what you're talking about. Like it might have been VH1 Classic or something. I
it
think
may
it
have
was
been, but it was on there for
a
well
long
over a
time.
decade.
Yeah, a
Yeah, it
long
was a
time.
long, long, long time because that album came out, 1990.
Mm-hmm.
They had it on there well into the 2000s, so you're looking at least 20 years.
Oh yeah.
But that just goes to show you what Marty Friedman was, and that ain't even the best solo on the album.
Yep.
I mean, Take No Prisoners is a wicked song, as
Oh
short as it is.
shit! Take no prisoners, baby. That's my
Um,
favorite off that album. Off Rest in Peace. Rest in Peace.
yeah. But I mean, there is a lot to be said about Tornado of Souls as well.
Yep.
But with that being said, I would say for his best guitar work, go to Rust in Peace. For the best music he ever made, go to Countdown to Extinction. But
Countdown,
as a
man.
as a cohesive project.
Yeah.
But Rust in Peace, like, I love technicality in music a lot, so Rust in Peace is like my preference. But either way, you're going to get a good album between either one. But anyway, we are halfway through the list at this point. You got any thoughts so far?
Uh, I mean, not really. It's just like about Marty Freeman. I'll say he's one. So like something like this example of what me and Trevor have done. Like I love, I love Marty Freeman, but I also tried to change it up. Like any other time, he'd be in my top 10. But Trevor and I tried to. We're going through our team, like our teams. We was going through our list and trying to, really just, not double each other so much. Even though like we have some at the top that are it's kind of like back and forth. Like we'll have that on a few of our lists, like the bassist and stuff like that. But I mean, that's why he's not. I'm just saying, like that's why he's not on my top 10 because I just went with, try to go with some other people, and I know you went with people I'm not picking, so that's
Yeah.
kind of just something. If people bitch about me not putting somebody, even though I've highly praised people, like that's what it is. But now they do like Marty Freeman's a fucking monster. Like this was my live solo, high speed dirt psychotron, like off Countdown to Extinction. I mean, Architecture of Aggression solo. Whoo! he burns that motherfucker up, dude. Like Marty Friedman, he's one of the best to ever do it.
Absolutely.
But with that said, I'll go to my number 5. My top 5. Coming in at 5, we got Alex Lifeson from Rush. I mean, I've dick wrote a lot of Rush too. So what? And they're kind of like a well known, like, yeah, the best. They're like 3 of the best dudes to ever do it. But like, and it is weird, like that they are that fucking great. All 3 of them are that great at their instruments. Hey, you're just like, it doesn't. Everybody's just like, yeah, that's Rush, but. Like it's kind of weird just to say it. Like you just say it and you're like, okay, what? But like when you really just break it down and like think about like the first time hearing something from them, and you're like, what in the hell were these dudes doing? Like, like a lot of people go like, with Alex, like a lot of people will go like Working Man, off the first album. They're like, oh, that solo he does, which it's a great solo. It really is. But they're like, oh, that's like his best work. It's like it is a great solo. It's a great solo, but to say it's his best work on the first album out of you know, out of 50, well, they've been a band 50. Well, this year would have been 50. Neil passed away, which I'll say that okay. People should know this, but Neil was not on the first album. John Rutsey was a drummer. A lot of people, you'd be surprised at the people that don't know that. So I'm just like giving a nugget. It's not that deep, but it is like informative if people think that Neil was the drummer on the first album. It was John Rutsey. But like Alex Lawson, man, like after that, like 2112 to me is when he really hit his stride, like started picking up, like just started doing some shit. Like the 2112 song, of course, out of the 7 parts, like there's great leads all the way through it. I mean, Twilight Zone's a real spacey song. Like it's a nice clean solo. Something for Nothing, Lessons, Tears, like all that shit, man. Like that whole album, he's great. And like you go in the Farewell to Kings, like with Xanadu. Xanadu, dude, that is oh God, his playing on like Xanadu was to me like that's like after 2112, and it was like it just started getting better and better, and like it just kept going. Like Hemispheres was a great, he had great like Cygnus X1, Circumstances, The Trees, Lavidia Strangiato. Then you got Permanent Waves, Moving Pictures, Witch Hunt. My favorite off Moving Pictures. That's like their big album with Tom Sawyer, YYZ, Limelight, all that shit. Like Witch Hunt, like that's a great guitar playing. And like the 80s stuff, like it was kind of dialed down a little bit because it was taken over, which he's talked about that. Like, it's taken over a little bit by the synths and like, Getty's bass or whatever. Like Presto was when he started coming back into his own, like for the guitar work, anyways. Yeah, yeah. In like the 90s, and that might be another reason, like, because like in the 90s Rush, I love so much because like Alex's guitar work just started coming through. Like, and he just started, like, Roll the Bones started it. Like, he was getting more, he was doing some beautiful leads. And, like, the riffs were getting a little better. And then, like, Counterparts and Test for Echo, dude, like, especially Test for Echo, his rhythm work, like, his riffs that he wrote on that album are fucking crazy. And, like, it was just heavy as hell, especially for Rush. And, like, Vapor Trails that came out in 02, like, that's low key. Like, there's a song called Earthshine on there. motherfuck, man. Like Getty's bass on there, like Alex's lead, like shit. Alex Lawson is just. I could talk about him forever. Like, dude is just, and it's so crazy to me because he does seem a little underrated because of, you got Neil Peart, or Neil Peart is actually how you say it, but like you got Neil playing drums, like he's the best drummer in the world. Geddy Lee is looked at as like, the best in the like. Really, a lot of people do look at him like the best ever, like one of the best bassists of all time, if not the best. Um, and like, and Alex Lawson's kind of like, he's like like a lot of people look, it's like he's the third, like the third best music. He's like the least, he's, I don't know, he's like the bottom of the band apparently in like a lot of people's eyes, but like he is so fucking good. And like, if I don't know, it's kind of like my number 3 pick. Um, that dude's like the same way. It's just like kind of gets overlooked a little bit. Like, but damn, he's so, man. Like Alex Lawson's so fucking good. Like he's just a star. Like listen to any of that Rush shit. Like especially like Test for Echo. Like I said, like I would say like for somebody to listen to and like to get a good feel. Like 2112. Like pretty much like 2112 to probably Moving Pictures. I would say was like some of his best, and then like coming back to the '90s Rush, I would say listen to it to like, you know, you could listen to Roll the Bones, to Test for Echo, and get some good shit, and then you can listen to the 2000s. Like when they came back, all that. Like that would be my, my albums, I guess. Like for people to get their full, get the full feel of get the full feel for Alex Lawson, but. Yeah, I'll try to cut it. I gotta stop talking because I'll just keep going. But we'll
I understand.
let Trevor hit number 5 on his list.
Oh yeah, and this is kind of a little bit of an oddball pick, but going back to what Harley was saying earlier, these are our personal favorite guitarists, and I'm a big math rock geek, and this is one of the best guitarists, if not the best guitarist in that genre, in my opinion. I'm talking about Thomas Eric from The Fall of Troy, as well as several other projects. I would say if you want to have a good idea as to what the dude is capable of, listen to the entire Doppelganger album if you have a chance. Out of the post-hardcore, um, emo, math rock kind of stuff, that's probably my favorite album. Between that or their third studio album, Manipulator. Um, a lot of pedals, but don't let that fool you into thinking that he is a bad guitarist because all over both albums, as well as really everything he's ever put his hands on, it's just phenomenal work. You have songs like the last song on Manipulator, A Man, a Plan, a Canal, Panama, which is a palindrome because it's spelled the same backwards as forwards, but it's 8 minutes and 20 seconds. It's a bit of a ride, but you'll forget it's that long. To me, it's that good of a song. Um, Arguably the biggest hit they ever made is probably FCP Remix, which is a remix to the Letter song, as I call it, because it's just a bunch of letters. Um, but between that, Mouths Like Sidewinder Missiles on Doppelganger is probably my favorite song on that album personally, as well as the outro track, which is another 8 minute song, Macaulay McCulkin. Um, everything he's ever personally put his hands on, like I said, phenomenal musician just all the way around because he's not just a guitarist, he's a keyboardist as well as a bassist, and he fucks around with the drums as well. But he was on the fourth and final album for the post-hardcore band Chiodo's Devil, which is one of their most highly regarded albums they ever did. But he was
He's in Chiodos.
yeah, he was the lead guitarist on that fourth. No, not for the whole time. He was just the lead guitarist on the Devil's album.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
didn't
that
know
album's a fucking banger. But
Yeah,
yeah,
Chile's great.
he is a phenomenal guitarist, and he's been in a multitude of different bands, but definitely his best work I would say is in the Fall of Troy, and it would be that the second studio album, third project, because between their first album and their second, they put out a little EP called Ghost Ship, and it's a fun little album. It's a fun little EP, but you're not really missing much if you skip over it because a lot of it shows up on Doppelganger as well, and for the more refined version of those songs, you could just pretty much listen to Doppelganger. Um, Highly recommend the album. But that's my number 5. We're going to number 4.
Oh boy, howdy! I don't know if I like this anymore. Um, Damn, this episode's got some length to it.
That's all
Um,
good.
Number 4, I'm going. This is the guy. He means a lot to me. He when I was a kid, like outside of like hearing Jerry Cantrell the first time, like this was the dude I saw. My dad had some tapes. I watched him play live, and I was like, "Fuck." I'm like, I gotta have a flying V. I have to and I have a flying V that is just like his from back then. And I'm like, dude, it's he. He's one of those. It's like you could put the duo, I guess, but I don't really care about the other guitar player. I don't like. Not a big fan of the other dude. Like he's good, but he's not. He just didn't do it for me. But this dude, fucking KK Downing from Judas Priest. I love Judas Priest, and they've been one of my favorite bands. Um, since I was a kid, and I don't know. I don't listen. I'm not as high on them as I used when I was younger, but I do love Priest. I love KK Downing, dude. He made me want to play. He made me want to fly in V, which is the first guitar I ever got. And then later on in life, I got an actual Gibson Flying V that's like his, the cherry red with the white pick guard. Oh god, I love it. But I love, man, KK Downing, dude. I could go on about all the shit like the Victim of Changes solos. Cause him and Glenn did go back and forth on a bunch of stuff. They were a good duo without a doubt, a great duo, probably one of the best. I'm not as big of I'm not as big as a Glenn Tipton fan, probably as most people are, but especially not as KK. I love KK Downing. The dude was dude is hell. Even I've listened to some of the newer stuff he's done in his new band KK's Priest, where he has Tim Ripper Owens singing. Who he was a singer when Rob left in the '90s. He was on a few albums. Um, but KK Dynamite, even that new shit, his guitar tone is just fucking wonderful. It is great. I love it. I love KK Dynamite so much. He just a big influence, on me personally, and it's fuck, man. I don't know. There's not enough words I could say about KK Downing. I just love him. The damn. If I had to say, I mean, really, so the way you can pick him out between him and Glenn solos is Glenn is real precise and technical, and KK is a fucking monster. He is a damn shredding machine. He hits a solo, he just goes he goes nuts on him. The dude just starts shredding. And it's the best shit. It's the biggest energy rush when he gets on a solo because you just know it's him. You're like, damn, this shit's just it just gets you pumped up. If a few solos, to listen to be like, okay, good KK down is like this off their third album, Sin After Sin, the song Sinner. That solo is fucking great. Even better, you find a live version that's even better. Just because the first few albums, like the production wasn't as good as it should have been. Like it got really good on the fifth album on Hellbent for Leather, but those first four albums were kind of a little raw, little raw, I guess. But to me, the best album is the fourth album, Stained Class, and by far the best. Like when damn KK, when he did like the lead for Beyond the Rounds of Death, you got the first solo is Glenn, but the ending solo that takes the song out is KK Downing, and my God, listen to that fucking solo, and you'll understand why KK's the fucking dude. Like, then after that, you just go to any of the albums and you can find out which one is KK. It's like, go to like Screaming for Vengeance. There's some damn good stuff on there. I don't recommend Defenders of the Faith is a good. He does a lot of good stuff on there. Like hell, British Steel. Really, the first, all the way up until Defenders of the Faith. The first 8 albums would be. And then I don't know, like Turbo Lover and Ram It Down, I do not recommend. Ram It Down's the worst. Like Turbo Lover is good. Like there's about 4 or 5 songs on there I enjoy, and KK does have some moments on there. And but that's about it. Like it's nothing I wouldn't recommend it, I guess, unless you're just a true Judas Priest fan. Then you'll be like, you can kind of see the light in there. And like Painkiller album though, like he goes crazy on that. That's a great damn album. But anyways, yeah, that's like KK Downing. He's my number 5. I mean my number 4. Sorry, I messed up. Oh, I'm
It's
going
okay.
back.
Well, for my number 4, it's okay. It's too late, brother. No, anyway, for my number 4, as far as guitarists out of this era, you can argue that there are some better guitarists, and that's completely okay. I don't blame you for feeling that way. This is just one of my favorites out of this era. Going off of guitarists, we're trying not to pick to kind of spread out the field as much as possible. Still one of my favorite guitarists of all time. Talking about Richie Blackmore from Deep Purple and Rainbow, the Man in Black. We're not talking about Johnny Cash. Um, you want a good Richie Blackmore solo? Pick one. Like, there's not a bad one. I don't really know what to tell you. Like, everything he ever did was goddamn magical. My personal favorite one is probably, Jesus. To boil it down to one is hard. If I had to just pick one, it'd probably be Stormbringer from Stormbringer, like the title track from the '74 album. That's a fantastic solo. I mean, for a hit that had a fantastic solo, you can look at Burn from the '74 album, the title track. Highway Star, um, for not so big of a hit, Mistreated from the '74 album. Fools from Fireball, Child in Time. I mean, there's not a bad solo from Richie Blackmore. There may be some. He probably also has the most overplayed guitar riff of all time, to his credit. So there's also that. Um, and probably the most popular riff of all time that you won't get kicked out of Guitar Center for playing, to my knowledge. But not even like as overrated as that riff is, like everything else in the song's actually pretty dope. Talking about Smoke on the Water, but like he never had kind of at like it may seem like I'm trying to stalwart because I don't know what I'm talking about, but I promise you, it's more like I'm everything you ever hear. You're kind of at a loss for words because like guitarists at this point, especially, were just evolving so damn fast. and you had your Iomis, and you had, like Harley was just talking about, like your KK Downings, and you had people like that just shredding it. And then Richie Blackmore was kind of doing his own thing. And to me, it's one of my personal favorite sounds to ever come out of a guitar. But I'd definitely check out the Stargazer solo from Rainbow's '76 album Rising as well.
Definitely.
But anyway, we're going to number 3.
Well,
My number 3 guitarist of all time, and probably an odd pick, but we're going to go with Prince. And most people don't think about him as a guitarist, and if you haven't really heard him get down on a guitar, you are absolutely missing out. This dude is one of the best guitarists of all time, in my opinion. His most famous example of a solo in his own work is definitely like Purple Rain, like the whole second half of the song, depending on whether or not you're listening to the studio or the live version. But my favorite personal solo of his is probably, honestly, When Doves Cry, Let's Go Crazy. I mean, Why You Want to Treat Me So Bad is another ripping solo. He did a live version of While My Guitar Gently Weeps with just an all-star cast of musicians on stage, including George Harrison's son. I think Tom Petty was the lead singer on there.
oh yeah.
A lot of people on there, and Prince absolutely stole the show. Played a guitar solo for a good minute and a half, tried to pass it off to, I forget who it was, but it was another person that's like up in that stratosphere of like some of the best guitarists of all time, and the dude was like, "Fuck you!" Like, it's like, I ain't following that. Like, and Prince was like, "Oh, come on, you got to do it." Like, just like he had that swag about him. But no, the Man in Purple, you couldn't pick a bad. I love Prince personally. I think he's one of the most talented multi instrumentalists of all time, and I feel like it's a bit unfortunate that sometimes it felt like he may have been a little limited to doing like the pop that his label wanted him to, but also without Prince, shout out to him for kind of predicting like the downfall of music as a platform, like via streaming, because it kind of takes the personal aspect out of making music out of it, and it's how people get taken advantage of. And Prince was talking about this like 20 years before anybody was even really talking about it. And I mean, streaming definitely has its benefits, but this isn't about that. Prince was very validated in what he was talking about because he was an absolutely excellent musician. And again, if you haven't listened to any of his guitar work, I mean, Purple Rain's probably the best example of a guitar solo that you can just pick from his own discography. But for something a little different, I'd recommend Joy and Repetition from Graffiti Bridge, his 1990 album. It's not my favorite album from his, but this guitar solo is definitely one of the standout moments on there, and you'll see what I'm talking. It's damn near 2 minute long solo, so prepare yourself for that. But anyway, we're going into number 2.
My number 2. We might have the same number 2. If I
That
say it and it's like your number 2, then we
we'll
can.
just count it as number 2, and you go ahead with your number 1.
But number 2 is the riff master himself, Mr. Tony Iommi.
You're goddamn right it is.
Sir Tony Iommi. I think he's knighted. Pretty sure. I don't know.
If he ain't, it's a damn shame.
He should be knighted if he isn't. But yeah, the riff master, brother Tony Iommi. I guess I can take it away since Sabbath's my favorite. Like them and counterparts of my favorite band. But, man, Tony Iommi. There's so much I can say. Like how much he changed the guitar. Like, and by accident, by getting his fingers cut off right before they went on tour. He got the tips of them cut off in the machine. He put soap bottle caps on there, glued them, and he like super glued them and put tape around them to keep them there. And that's how he played. Like that's and he went to he started messing around like nobody did it before. Like he just started doing drop tunings like and just started figuring out like how it would be easier for him to play and like still be able to play chords and like get a nice tone and all this, like get a good sound out of the guitar. It's like it's so weird that that's how drop tunings and stuff was invented, like from an accident. Like Tony Iommi just became the fucking riff master from like like what could have been an even worse accident, losing the tips of his fingers and like it was like damn my fingers hurt, like I gotta tune it. That like just started doing that and like and you listen to it and you're like damn, like this shit. Like I'm sure like in 1970 hearing like the first Sabbath album and then hearing Paranoid the same year, I'm sure people were like what the fuck is happening, like what is this.
Because especially like the very first song on the Sabbath album, which if I'm not mistaken is just Black Sabbath. Imagine 19, circa like when did it come out? Like early 70 or late 69?
70.
70. It was recorded throughout 69 if I'm not mistaken.
No, it was like recorded in 18 hours.
Oh, well, shit. Okay.
It was
There
70.
you go. That's why he's the Sabbath fan. I'm also a Sabbath fan, but not to the level he is.
Yeah.
Respectfully. And but no, that first like Black Sabbath, just hearing that 1970 coming fresh off the 60s, no less, just
Had to be
terrifying. Got to be terrifying. Like, got to be scary as shit.
like you just listen to all this happy shit. And
That's
then
a scary song now. Like
yeah.
54 years after damn near like fucking 55 years after the fact, it's still a scary song.
Oh yeah. You're just like, what the fuck is this? But like, you listen to all of his stuff. Like, I'll just go through and name some, some riffs or some songs. Like, even like the hits. Like, even like with I mean, hell, dude, even Paranoid. Like, say what you like. We've heard a million times. Like, whatever. And like, Paranoid's my least favorite Sabbath album. But like, the title track, Paranoid, is like just one of the most iconic fucking riffs, and you're just like, what the fuck, like that. Of course, everybody knows Iron Man and War Pigs, whatever. But like, you know, I guess like the fucking electric funeral riff on there. Oh, holy shit!
Good lord, that's a hell of a
Man.
riff.
Like then you got Masters of Reality. The hits like you got Sweet Leaf and Children of the Grave. Like Children of the Grave is still one of the most like. It's so simple, but it's so fucking heavy, man. Like, dude was just like hitting one of the best riffs of all time. Just shit, like Lord of this World, Solitude. Like even the little acoustic shit, like Embryo and Orchid, was cool. Like Into the Void, that was a great. What a fucking riff on that. But I mean, like Volume 4 to me, like that's when it started picking up even more. Like he just kept, and it was like, well, there was a lot of cocaine involved from what I've heard on stories about Volume 4. But like, dude,
Well, that tends to help, though. That is
yeah,
the
like
album, The Snowblind, isn't it?
Yeah, Wheels of Confusion and the Straightener opening the album, like that fucking lead he plays on the opening of the song, and just the whole song, like the whole like the thing too was like with Sabbath, you had like 3 fucking songs in one, and you're sitting there like, like he's doing all this heavy shit, and then he's doing like this jazz shit, and then he's doing like blues, like acoustic shit. It's like what the fuck, dude? Like, like doing all this in one song, and like just fucking insane, man. Like Tony Iommi, like without need to say, like dude changed music. Obviously, like I said, with the started like drop tunings, by accident, but he started like the drop tunings. He started, all that. Like he just changed guitar, like for the better. Like completely shifted music in a different direction. Like and hell on that out, like Supernaut and Snowblind, like Cornucopia. That is like a Sabbath song. That is a fucking ass beater, brother. That is just dragging through the fucking mud. Like, what a damn song like that. And on the same album, like Under the Sun, Every Day Comes and Goes. Like that's a damn like Under the Sun part, real heavy. Every Day Comes and Goes is like real. It's almost kind of punk rock, like it's real fat, like aggressive and shit. Uh, but Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, that's probably one of my favorite riffs. I mean, you can go through all these fucking albums and find riffs and leads and shit that he had. Like Dirty Women from Technical Ecstasy, oh man, that's a Sabbath song, Corey. It's a big sleeper, like, a hidden gem most people don't know about, but like, if you do not know that, like, go, then like people shit on Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die. And to that, I say, fuck you, because those are some great albums and the great musician work. Like, go listen, like Technical Ecstasy, go listen to Dirty Women and tell me how you still feel about like his guitar playing. Like any of those songs, really the whole album to me is great. Like, and Geezer's, we'll get on that with the bassist, but Geezer's bass playing on that album is fucking crazy. Like Never Say Die, like the Junior's Eye solo, fucking phenomenal. Shockwave, fuck man, Shockwave, that's one of my favorite all time Tony Iommi solos. And Air Dance, like, and then of course Heaven and Hell had some good stuff. Like, I will say this in my personal opinion, and I truly believe in my heart of hearts, like Tony Iommi's best guitar work of all time was on 1981 Mob Rules with, Dio was the singer. Like, motherfucker, dude. That album, like, it still puts me in a blender every time I listen to it and listen to Iommi's playing. Like, Turn Up the Night, the riff, the solos. Like, his solo work, that I promise you that was his best lead guitar work. Just listen to that, like, Turn Up the Night, Voodoo, Sign of the Southern Cross. What a fucking song. Of course, like on every Sabbath album, there was like a song that was just like a little instrumental thing, which on this one, it was E5150. It's just something that Iommi would do on there. And then it cuts into the Mob Rules, the title track, which is, that song is bonkers in itself. Country Girl, remember hearing that as a kid, and I was like, what the fuck? And like, just like, that's one, oh man, that's a personal favorite riff right there. Holy shit. Touchdown. Oh,
Yep. I was
touchdown.
gonna.
So, God damn.
Oh, why did SMU score?
No, Southeastern Missouri scored.
All right. Well, I'm gonna let you know it is 3 seconds before halftime. Nevada is up 17-10 on SMU.
Southeastern Missouri just got up. They just scored a pretty good touchdown run, about close to a 30-yard touchdown run, and they're up 19-15 right
Hell
now.
yeah.
But anyways, sorry about that, y'all. We're just watching live game as we're talking. But yeah, and then like Slipping Away, like the whole album, like I said, great. Like over and over, how it ends, the album, like it's great. Listen to it, like the solo he does is it's so soulful. It just hits you. I mean, Falling Off the Edge of the World it's crazy. But my favorite off there has to be Slipping Away, just because it's like when it gets to the lead, it's like it's him, like it's Iommi and Geezer Butler trading off leads. Like Geezer's doing a bass solo, like he'll do a solo, and then Iommi does a solo, and then Geezer does, Iommi does, Geezer does. Like they go back and forth like 3 times, and it, like, even to this day, it's like it blows my mind listening to it after all these years. I'm like, I don't know, like that's a song. If you're a Sabbath fan or if you really like Iommi, like listen to the Mob Rules album and tell me I'm wrong that that's their best album. Like that's maybe not their best album. That is his best guitar work on an album. is Mob Rules, in my opinion. That's why I am with Naomi. And then once I went on 3.
It's all good. Number one, we're going to do a deep dive into my favorite guitarist of all time. We're talking about Larry "Lur" Lalonde from Primus. And we'll go ahead and start off with a fun fact that not a lot of people know about Mr. Larry Lalonde. Did you know that this man basically invented death metal? He was definitely helping in the formation of the genre itself when he was in one of the very first death metal bands to ever exist, Possessed, in their infancy. And then obviously he went on to do something a little bit different. But that being said, I mean, personally, I think the stuff he did in Possessed, as phenomenal as it was in its own right, the things he did in Primus are just leagues ahead. You talk about somebody that can play any genre you throw at him, and um, honestly, the solo on Southbound Pachyderm from Tales from the Punch Bowl is
Banger.
fantastic in its own right. Um, Another fantastic example of his guitar is the entire Over the Electric Grapevine song. 6.5 minutes of him just shredding the whole time. Professor Nutbutter's House of Treats, Miss Blayling, really that whole Tales from the Punch Bowl album is
Oh,
very
yeah,
good.
he shreds.
He shreds all over that album. My personal favorite of his guitar work is either going to be Sailing the Seas of Cheese or the Antipipe, which is the 1990 album, and he's on there as well as a couple other guitarists, but Lur is definitely the most standout guitarist on that album, in my opinion. And with a stacked ensemble like Buckethead and Slash at some points, that's that's some insane or not Slash, but Tom Morello. I don't know why I said Slash, but you goof up sometimes. I don't think Slash would fit this sound at all personally, but it is what it is. Um, that being said, another song from Sailing the Seas of Cheese, 11, which is him just shredding around. Is It Luck? Everybody talks about the bass chops in that song, but really take a listen to what the hell Lur is doing on the guitar. It's insane. Obviously, Tommy the Cat's on that album. Um, Jerry Was a Race Car Driver is another fantastic guitar solo from him. Sergeant Baker, Here Come the Bat. The whole, again, like everything in its own right. Even his like more country and bluegrass sounding stuff, like Deanza Jig from Tales from the Punch Bowl, or um, what's the one from the Brown album, Over the Falls. You know, songs like that. Even his work on Green Naugahyde, like Tragedies That Come in, the guitar on that song is wonderful. As well as Hoeing for the Man, like just top to bottom in their discography. Like Larry Lalonde is definitely the most underrated member of the band, and at the end of the day, probably my favorite guitarist of all time.
Yep.
Anyway, number one for Harley.
Yep.
We're talking about Lil Wayne.
Yep. Probably Kid Cudi. Now, my number one all time, it might be a base pick for a lot of people, but I can't help it because even though I mentioned Cantrell, hearing his first thing, like what, it blew my mind. And then hearing KK down, I'm like, damn, I want that guitar. But like the first person I remember at 5 years old listening to was like, no, this is it. Like, I want to play guitar. Like, there wasn't no doubt, like, at some point in my life, I'm going to learn how to play guitar, which I did, but never to the point of this guy. Not even a quarter of what this dude. Shit, probably a fucking 8. But motherfucking Randy Rhoads, like, for as short as he was, for the short time that he was on albums like, the first two Quiet Riot and then the first two Ozzy solo albums, Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. You could talk about the Quiet Riot the first two, but they were just young, raw. Like, there's some decent stuff, but like, I'll focus on like the ones I guess everybody knows, like Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. Like, like even dude, just like what he did. Like some people was like, oh, he just rip off of Van Halen. Like, no, he wasn't. Like, he took some of I get like he did use like I mean obviously Van Halen influenced so many people and that you know obviously he's not on my list, but like that's not because I don't like Van Halen. I love Van Halen, but it's not like this isn't like iconic guitar players or most influential. These are just the people that I like and that Trevor likes. So it's very it's just opinion based. Like y'all can comment in the section like comment who you guys like, top 10 guitar players, all that shit, your favorites. Like I said, we just went with our, favorites and like that's it. Like Randy Rhoads my favorite. Like dude, like yeah, he took some of, like he might have had a little bit of Van Halen, a little bit of Iommi, like shit, but like he was he was a classically trained guitarist. He could play jazz, like any fucking genre of music, like Randy Rhoads could play and fucking shred. Like it was just like metal, being with Ozzy, like metal was just the kind of thing that got him very popular, that he got very popular with. And I mean, I love it. Like Randy Rhoads just still listen to that shit nowadays, just blows my mind. Like, as many times everybody's heard Crazy Train, it's like, you know, it's a good song. That's why it's fucking overplayed as it is. Like the riff, the fucking like the guitar solo in Crazy Train, I still listen to it. Like just to listen to the solo, like, and sometimes I just skip to the solo to listen to it because it's just like, what the fuck is this? And like the only song on the map, like he didn't have a solo on Suicide Solution, which he did have on like when they played it live. You can find live clips. He would do the Suicide Solution solo, and then what was the other one? Little Dolls on Diary of a Madman. It didn't really have a solo. It was like just a little bit of some licks, but it wasn't nothing like a actual full on lead. But like, dude, you could pick any fucking song from them, like two albums, and like just get blown away by his guitar playing now. Like even to this day, like to me, like Diary of a like he was just getting better and better. And like the Diary of a Madman, like even though it was only recorded 6 months after Blizzard of Oz, there was like this big change in their sound, the production, like it was a big change. Like his guitar playing was just it was that much more better in that little bit of time. It's so crazy. Like that album. Oh, I love it. I love Diary of a Madman. I love the whole album, especially his playing. Like, shout out my cousin Josh. Showing me when I was showing me when I was younger, like pointing it out just how great it was. But the solo in "You Can't Kill Rock and Roll," whew, man, what a fucking solo! Man, Believer, tonight is one of his best guitar. Like the whole song, some of the best guitar work that he did. An underrated one, a very hidden gem, is SATO on there, and then of course the guitar masterpiece he had was Diary of a Madman. Like, holy shit, dude! What he did on that, like all the jazz notes he was doing, like all the shit that he was incorporating into that was just like you like it's the last song on the album and you just listen to it like holy shit, like this dude's about to, like listening to it, imagining before he passed away was like this dude's about to do some shit that we can't comprehend. Like I mean, what a stud, man! Like it just tragically, died at 24 years old. Just plane crash. Like, man, it's awful. It's like there's no it's awful because we lost. Because from what I've heard, he was a good dude, just a sweet dude. It sucks that you lost a life in a damn accident like that. But it's also it's it's so weird, like hearing that, and then just the damn, of course, and then you think about I guess more selfish reasons like the music, that he could have done. It's like just picturing what he could have done because he was just getting started, brother. Like Randy Rhoads was out of this fucking world, and it like he was like I said, the reason I was like, yeah, I gotta play guitar. There was no and if or buts. I'm like, I gotta do it because it just like it moved me that much as a kid. I still remember hearing that. Like, of course, a lot of it did start with the Over the Mountain solo that my dad
Oh
showed
yeah.
me. That was that's an insane solo in itself too. But yeah, that's my number one right there is Dire for Madman. I mean, yeah, that album, fuck it, but I'm tired, fuck. But that's my number one is Randy Rhoads' favorite guitar player. You know, if it's a bass pick, fuck you, I don't care. It's my list. Piss off, Lib.
That's all good. But with that being said, this is the second part of our top 10 guitarist video. And we want to thank you for tuning in and listening to it. We will be back tomorrow with more episodes, probably covering more college football with it being so late. We were going to get into it, but eh, like it's a bit late, but
Yeah, that's what it is.
it is what it is. With that in mind, though, we want to thank you for listening to this episode and tune in tomorrow for more football news as well as more lists. Um,
And I guess you guys can give